Your entire March has led you to tonight. In Indianapolis, we decide a winner. UConn and Michigan, that's the big game, and we're here to talk about it. My name is Caden Colford. Jake Helton is sitting next to me, and Landon McQuitty will join us when we hop into the NBA, talking what playoff matchups we want to see come the postseason at the pro level. But right here, right now, the big game before us, right here in the Circle City, nonetheless, with two great teams that have had great runs. We're talking UConn as they won against Illinois to punch their tickets to the big dance. UConn themselves, a very stout team. They beat Duke, then they beat Illinois, and now they have a chance to beat Michigan. Give me your first thoughts on what that win was like over Illinois and what UConn stands for as a true contender at this point.
I feel like they have shown everything that you need to see. The shooting has finally come from everybody. I think Braylon Mullins was struggling a little bit at the beginning to find his shot. I think they said he started off like 3 for 23 or something in his first couple shots or whatever. So now that he's getting back on track, he had a decent game. I think 5 for 14 is not where he wants to be at, but 4 for 7 from the three-point line is something Dan Hurley's going to take any day. His 15 points in 30 minutes, very crucial. But the guy that you really want to look out for, really the two guys, I think, Solo Ball and then Terrace Reed Jr. Reed Jr. has played phenomenal this entire tournament and honestly might be the most outstanding player of the tournament. I don't know what they call that reward or award specifically, but 17 and 11 rebounds, 17 points, 11 rebounds in this game, and just an all-around stud. They did what I thought they were going to do, forced Illinois to shoot some tough shots, but like that right there, you see their big man knocking down some threes. They can hit those shots. They get offensive rebounds like you just saw. There's 2 in the same possession. This was a very tough squad for them to beat, but I think it all that much more prepares them for that game against Michigan.
What's crazy about it is UConn hasn't necessarily had a game where they're shooting lights out. In their last 2, Alex Karaban not playing very well at all. He had just 9 against Illinois on 1 for 8 shooting, 1 for 7 from downtown. And when we look at his performance against Duke, he had just 5 on 2 for 10 shooting. And you could argue that he is the best scorer on this UConn team. I like him. As a 3-level scorer, he's great. He's a great basketball mind, and he's not even playing very well, which shows me how good this UConn coaching staff is, headed by Dan Hurley, and how deep they are as a roster.
They've been able to find other ways to get him involved other than just offensively scoring buckets, and it's allowed other guys to get open. I think Reed Jr. has been one of the biggest benefactors of that, but this is a well-coached team, as you said, and they have put themselves in a position where now you face 2 teams that are kind of similar to a combination of what Michigan is. I think Duke's defense is a little bit better than Illinois', and I think Illinois' shooting is a little bit better than Duke's. You put them together, you get similar to what they're going to have against Michigan. Thing about Michigan, though, they are very scary. They have scored 90 points in 5 straight games. All 5 games of the tournament, they've scored 90-plus points, one of those getting over 100, and you'll see it. They shoot the ball very well, but right there, that's the shot I want you to notice. You know who took that? Elliot Cadeau. If you look at his stats, you're going to see Elliot Cadeau was 5 for 17. That's not real. That's not true. Coach Dusty May might have been the smartest coach ever. He realized that Arizona likes to block shots. They like to go for the big block, so they put themselves out of position on the rebound, something that I think Coach Hetty saw quite a bit this year with his squad. And he realized, I can use this to my advantage. So instead of Elliot Cadeau, the smaller guy, going in there and trying to make the layups, he throws it off the backboard. Adai Mara comes from the other side and lays it in. Yaxel Lindenborg comes and lays it in on the other side. This worked so well. Arizona had no answers. They got behind, and a team that can't shoot the 3 ball very well, it makes it very hard to come back, especially against a team like Michigan. They play good defense. They shoot the ball well as well. So Arizona really just had nowhere to go. They couldn't score down low, and they really struggled to defend.
Michigan kind of sitting in the opposite boat of UConn, their opponent, and what I was just talking about. And UConn hasn't had a game where they've been lights out. Michigan has been lights out nearly the entire tournament. They're winning by double figures with every game. 33-point win over Tennessee. You beat Arizona by 19. Arizona's a good team. Arizona was a killer this year, and a lot of people's pick to go win the whole thing, and you blow them out. I really like Michigan's defense. And obviously Arizona just wasn't hitting shots to some point, but Michigan has forced every team that they've played to this point into uncomfortable situations offensively. And for a UConn team that isn't shooting very well to begin with, I don't know how they outscore Michigan.
Yeah, and I would say even if you look at these stats, 6 for 17 from the three-point line, that's a couple more than they usually take per game. They're usually sitting right around the 14, 15 range. So they didn't really hit them at a high rate, and it caused them. Michigan played good defense. It's kind of the same thing as UConn. They forced Arizona to take shots they didn't want to take, and they were able to outscore them. When you get that lead and you can kind of sit on it, that's something Michigan has done very well this year, and they've been able to do it all tournament. Now you get to a point where there is no next game. You can play whoever you want, whenever you want, as much as you want. So you're going to see Lindenborg out there for about 35, 36 minutes. You're going to see Elliot Cadeau out there for 35, 36 minutes. It's going to be the main five for Michigan plus a couple of others, and that's going to be the squad. Can Dan Hurley figure out the game plan? I said it the same thing against Illinois. If anybody's going to figure it out, it's him, but this Michigan team is just dangerous from everywhere.
What's kind of insane about their run, if you look at them, they played a few teams that may not be considered the highest caliber. I mean, to see in the Sweet 16 a number 6 Tennessee, I don't know if it's necessarily an Arizona-type matchup, but the thing is, they ran through Alabama. They ran through everybody that they've played. Not even close with anybody. Nobody's really tested this Michigan team yet. Do you see UConn providing a different look for them?
I definitely do, just because of what we've seen. They've been able to play defense.
They beat Duke.
Illinois, over the past 3 seasons, I just saw this on Instagram this morning, but their 3 lowest scoring games over the past 3 seasons have all been against UConn in that defense. So I think that favors them a little bit more because it is going to be a lower scoring game. You keep Michigan out of the 90s, it makes it a lot easier to beat them. They're a lot more human. So if this game is down in the 70s, I think UConn stands a much better chance. It's going to come down to their defense. But big thing about this Michigan team is that they're saying they're better than the Fab Five, which if you know who that is, one of the best. Well, I still think
they have their own broadcast.
Probably the best Michigan team to ever be a Michigan team,
so.
And they came up short. So I look at this. If they win this, we'll have to give it to them. I think they are the best team in Michigan history. I've watched a decent amount of Michigan basketball this year just because they have been so good, and that hurts me as an Ohio State fan. But
in the Big Ten, they were
great basketball. And to go with the Big Ten, I think I talked about this last week, but the Big Ten has won like 10 national championships this year out of like 13 or 14. There's not that many that you can win. The Big Ten has won pretty much all of them. We're talking we're field hockey, women's basketball last night. There's insane. One right there. UCLA won that one. Football. Men's basketball has a chance, obviously, with Michigan going in. You can keep going down. Lacrosse, I think it was. Field hockey. It just goes down and down the line. The Big Ten is running college sports right now, and this would just be another check on that list. I think it kind of feeds into the momentum of the Big Ten, and Dusty Mays is a great coach.
Should have been the IU guy.
Should have been.
Should have been the IU guy. But speaking on Michigan further and just adding to their praises, I think this has been shown to be the deepest team in the tournament. Scoring-wise, game in, game out, they have 5 double-figure scores in nearly every game that they've played this postseason, which is insane. There's not a lot of teams that can say that. And sometimes it's different guys. Was it Mara last time out? I was texting you mid-game saying, where is this guy going in the draft? Because the positions that Dusty May has put him in has really allowed him to succeed. And he's doing a little bit of everything on the interior, on the defensive end. He can shoot it a little bit. He runs a good pick and roll. I see an NBA big in him.
I do too. Needs a little more size, obviously. Not height-wise, but a little bit more muscle on that frame. And I think he's a very good, you can compare him to Zubac, I think. He might be able to pass a little bit better and shoot a little bit better as well. A great UConn team, but I just think this Michigan team might be a little bit too much.
And that's going without talking about Lindenborg, who could be considered the best player on this team and the best player in the tournament when he's healthy. I don't know how close to 100% he's going to be. He did not look great in those last minutes against Arizona. It really just looked like moral minutes, if you want to call it that. But at the same time, he went out and hit every shot that he took when he was injured.
He's a hooper. I don't think there's any other way to describe him. He goes out and he gets buckets. He did it at JUCO. He did it at UAB. Now he's doing it here at Michigan, and he's very good at doing so. It comes down to UConn plays 6 guys, really. They throw in a couple other for some extra minutes and stuff like that. I think they're going to struggle. You come down to that end of the tournament, your body's hurting, you're aching, you're tired, and that's when the bench becomes all that much more important. If Michigan has 10 guys that they can play to the 7 guys of UConn, I think that favors them a little bit just because UConn's got to be running out of gas. I think both of these teams are, but I feel like you're going to see it a little bit more on that defensive side. And I think that Michigan Michigan's going to be able to do the same kind of game plan that they had. I think UConn's going to learn from Arizona's mistakes. They're not going to be jumping at every shot like that. They're not going to be trying to block everything. They're going to be focused on getting the rebound and ending possessions, because you give them extra shots, that's how they get up. You let them go on a streak. UConn has to find a way to slow down Michigan, not to a stop, but when they get hot, you got to cool them down.
I think they can do that. I do think UConn can do that, because apart from how deep the lineup goes for Michigan, UConn has some guys. Braylon Mullins, he is a threat to drop 25 plus every game. Alex Garabin hasn't been playing his best, but he's in that exact same scenario. Terrace Reed Jr. is playing the best basketball he's ever played in his life at the best time he ever could against a Michigan front court that's going to be very, very stout come tonight here in just a few hours.
I think that it's going to come down to kind of what I just said. If Michigan shoots the ball very well, I think UConn is going to struggle, because when every shot's going in, it just seems like you can't do anything right. It makes it that much harder offensively, which makes it all that much harder defensively. So if you want my pick, I know we'll probably get into it in a little bit, but I'm going to have to go with Michigan on this one. I think the offense is just a little bit too much. I'm usually a defense guy, especially when it comes tournament time, but this Michigan team has done things that we haven't seen a team do in ever, really.
Michigan, they are 7-point favorites over UConn. UConn has never lost in the national championship game. Our official picks soon to come on Last Call, but before then, we have some NBA postseason basketball that we are looking forward to, and we want to talk about it. This is Last Call. Stick around.
And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good evening and welcome back to UNB TV News.
For the campus, local, and national headlines you need to know, tune in to UNB TV News, Mondays at 6.
NBA postseason creeping up on us like a snake in the grass. It's almost here. As the NBA season winds down, we've talked about some of the best players in the East, in the West, the best teams, who we feel has the best chance come the postseason. But now we are asking the question, that being Caden, Jake, and Landon McQuitty now on the set of Last Call, of who do we want to see play come the NBA playoffs. So I guess to further break down what we're looking for, Landon, when you were deciding your teams, don't tell us just yet, but what do you want to see in an NBA playoff series?
Yeah, one thing very important, obviously both those teams have to be incredibly talented, have hopes of an NBA championship. I really want to see longer series to go maybe 6-7 games, and I think this year the playoffs, especially in the Western Conference, will be a lot tighter than they were last year, because last year I really feel like OKC was just the running favorite, and this year I feel like you could be anybody's pick.
Fair to say that. Fair to say that. We'll start with my look, and I think this one is going to be the most traditional, at least by Last Call standards. We've been talking about these two teams this entire season, and you guys already know who I'm going to say. San Antonio and Denver. These guys played a beautiful game a few nights ago when Denver got the upper hand of San Antonio. Denver has won 8 straight, while San Antonio still sits second in a very, very tough West. We see so many great players scattered all over the floor. This is the debate in the NBA right now of who's the best big, and this series gets to solve it.
Well, you see, early in this game, Wemby actually got a block on Jokic. Then you'll see the game winner. He learned from his mistakes. A very high arcing shot, and always love to see Aaron Gordon getting up, hanging one on the rim. But this is an interesting matchup for multiple reasons. Not only because you kind of have the current and the new. I think you have the current best player in the NBA in Nikola Jokic, and then you have the new, the upcoming in Victor Wembanyama. And they're getting to, here's that game winner. High arcing shot in, and that's just beautiful. I mean, that's his game. Jokic has gotten it down to a science. Goes into overtime, and the Nuggets end up winning the game, but I just feel like this has got to be the most interesting matchup because of the two stars at the center of it. You can put two teams against each other, but when you have this matchup right here, people want to see Wemby versus Jokic. They want to see Wemby guard Jokic and vice versa. They want to see Jokic try and guard Wemby. I think Wemby has that first step. It's a lot quicker than Jokic's defense. So if he gets him outside on the perimeter, advantage to Wemby. down low, advantage Jokic. I think he can stop him just about any time.
I don't mind that.
This is a good matchup for multiple reasons, but for the main thing, I just want to see this matchup. I cannot, every time they step on the floor together, it is a close one like that. It comes down to the end. I'm not going to say an instant classic. We're not playing football right now, but it's a good game pretty much any time they're both sharing the floor. I love Jokic. You mentioned it last week. Seeing him in a 7-game series, I think this is the best chance for a 7-game series for both of these teams outside of OKC. I love it.
Landon, what do you think? Nuggets and Spurs.
Yeah, definitely two best big men in the NBA, and it will just come down to who's the best player on that court in that game. Nikola Jokic, obviously, best player in the NBA. We have all said it on a night-to-night basis, but the impact that Victor Wembanyama can have, both defensively and offensively, if Victor Wembanyama could come into a series, average 26, maybe even 28 points, he could be the best player on the court, and the Spurs could definitely take down the 2023 champs in the Nuggets.
I love everything about this. It's obviously not going to be a second round or not going to be a first round matchup, which makes it better. Stakes are going to be high when these two teams play. And apart from just the bigs, guys like Aaron Gordon, guys like De'Aaron Fox, guys scattered on the benches for both of these teams can really break open a series. And so it's not necessarily going to be the one-on-one, but it's going to be a true test of two huge organizations in the NBA. And I cannot wait to see it because I think we will have a chance and a look at this year.
And we're also going to get the first look at what this Spurs team is actually going to look like. They've really built this team up now, and this is the future. The next 5 years, barring some big trades, they might pick up a few, they might lose a few, but this is going to be the main piece. It's going to be Wemby and the boys, and they're coming for everybody. And it starts right here. They take down the Nuggets, then you move on to OKC. They take down OKC. It's an NBA championship from there. So I love this matchup because I think winner of this stands the best chance of beating OKC. And as we saw last year, that was the top of the mountain to climb. But as we look at mine, I went a little bit more into the Eastern Conference.
All right.
I actually had picked this one because you know how we do things on Last Call. We always pick the same thing. But I went with the same game, had to switch mine up to a game that I would love to see. But I still think that the Pistons are going to dominate this matchup. They've dominated in the regular season. Come postseason, things mean a little bit more, so I would say that you're gonna see New York put out a little bit more effort, but still, it has been pure domination this season by Detroit. We're talking 20, 30-point blowouts every game.
What's been so impressive about Detroit as well, since Cade Cunningham went down, I really thought that they were going to fall off sort of a cliff, but they've been playing really good basketball ever since Cade went down. You thought maybe Boston could make a push for that 1 seed, but the Pistons have, if not, probably not even let up any ground. They probably gained some ground since Cade went down. They've established that #1 seed, and if Cade can get healthy, I think this is absolutely a contending team in the East.
And to think that he's going to be coming off of a few weeks of not rest, but rehabilitation. He's going to have a good body going into the playoffs. He's going to have high confidence in a team that did not fall below a certain mark. And Jalen Duren's playing at an All-NBA level as well. To have a big next to you that can carry that load the way that he has, with this being essentially his team for the last few weeks, he's been great. And that really plays to the downsides of New York. Really a good defensive front court, a back court that can defend as well. Detroit, very, very scary. Landon, where could you see New York taking an upper hand in this series?
Yeah, New York, obviously, the healthier team as it stands. If Cade Cunningham's not able to get into game shape, that could be a really big detriment for them, especially plugging him back into something that has been working well. But in terms of the big man play, you mentioned Jalen Duren. Karl Anthony Towns for them would have to stay out of foul trouble. That's been a huge problem throughout his entire career, and especially with such a big physical player such as Jalen Duren that likes to score in the paint, get easy dunks, easy layups, finish through contact as well. That'll have to be a main concern for the Knicks. But I think talent-wise, they might have the edge over Detroit. I just like Detroit as a team more than the Knicks.
And when you look at the matchups throughout the year, you could say the first couple of matchups, okay, New York wasn't fully healthy. There was a game Cat wasn't playing in. There was a game they were missing OG Anunoby for quite a bit throughout the season. Okay, they're not at their full power. The Detroit Pistons come out and they blow them out. Then there's one game, just this last game that they played, Detroit had nobody. It was all Jalen Duren. It was on him. The team was on his back. They won by 30 points, I think. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. The Knicks were supposed to win that game by 30 points, and they lost by double digits. Can't happen. And that does not give me any faith for them going into the playoffs. You could say new playoffs, new team, new Knicks, whatever. No, it's not how it works. I'm playing on the history here, and I love how the Pistons have went at the Knicks. It means that much more to them. I mentioned it earlier in the semester, but it means more to the Detroit Pistons right now, and for that reason, I think they come out and surprise the Knicks.
Talk about momentum behind a team right now. The Pistons at home are 30-9. 30-9 at home. That's an amazing, amazing record. One of the best that you'll see in the East. And the only other team that comes close to that home record is New York. So having a home court advantage in this series means a lot, and the Pistons would have it. All signs are pointing to the Pistons here.
I love this matchup because you love Jalen Brunson. You love watching him play.
Especially in the playoffs.
I love watching Cade Cunningham play just because of how aggressive he is. He goes at the basket. He's not just shooting threes. We went through about a 5-year stretch of NBA basketball where it was pretty much purely three-point shooting. Not to say that it isn't a lot now, but you're finally getting guys like Shea going to the rim. And I know we're going to complain about the foul baiting, but I would rather see that than a bunch of threes getting missed back and forth. So I love where basketball is at right now, and I love this matchup because it's battle of the two best guards in the East, in my opinion. You could take the Cavs, the three Cavs guards, and say they're good, but these are the two best right now. This is the top of the East, and I would love to see who comes out on top.
I think you're absolutely right in saying that. We've talked two of the best in the West, two of the best in the East, and now we turn to Landon McQuitty. Landon, give us your postseason prospects.
Yeah, it seems like we all had a pretty similar train of thought here. I'm going with the matchup that we did just see this past Saturday, the great overtime game. Caden, you just talked about Nuggets, Spurs, two of the best players in the NBA. You mentioned it, Jake. Nikola Jokic, obviously the best player in the NBA right now, but it won't be too long before Victor Wembanyama claims that title. And once we really got into overtime, it was a great back-and-forth matchup between Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama. I mentioned Victor Wembanyama has the potential to be the best player on the court, but for this game, it was Nikola Jokic, especially come crunch time. When you look at that overtime period, Victor Wembanyama only shot the ball 2 times, had 2 points and 1 steal. Nikola Jokic had over half of his team's points, 7 of the 12 for them, and 3 huge buckets all over Wemby. We saw a couple of them in the biggest moments. And so I think this series goes 7 games. I think either team of these that wins this matchup could beat OKC, and I just think that this is probably the best potential matchup we could get this postseason.
Revisiting a series between these two teams, you have a team in the Spurs that hasn't had their shot yet, but this is their first real chance. They have their team, they have their guy, they have their system, and things look great. But Denver has just been there. Denver has played the best team in the league every single year in the playoffs on their way to a finals, of one of which they won. They have climbed the mountaintop. They've sat there at the peak. They've held the trophy up. So it'll be very interesting to see how experience plays into a series like this. I think it's huge in the NBA playoffs.
But I do want to bring this up because they do have the experience. It's not with this group, I will say it. It's not the players, but it's the team, the organization, those 10 years from about halfway through the 2000s and then halfway through the 2010s. Kawhi Leonard, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker. Greg Popovich, in my opinion, is the best NBA coach to ever coach. I love the way he built his teams and the way that he went up against some of the best players in their primes, and he was able to take them down. That's who I'm going at right now. But they don't have Pop, and I understand that. That's a step back, but they are prepared for this as a franchise. They've been there, and they know how to build the team to make it there. And I think this team has similar notes to that of the 2014 team, or whichever team it was that won the NBA championship for the Spurs. I think this team has very similar notes to it. Wemby is just, I think, a little bit, maybe a step ahead of where Tim Duncan might have been hype-wise. People weren't excited about a Tim Duncan fadeaway, but they'll get excited about a Wemby fadeaway. And I think it's kind of that same thing. You find that winning formula, you stick to it. It worked for him earlier, and I think it could work for him now. It just has to have time to build. They have to play together. Got to give them that time, and this might be the year it starts. It might be next year. I do think, though, the Nuggets have the edge this year. That's just my personal.
What makes this the series to watch is that both of these teams are 9-1 in their last 10. Both of these teams have played the best and beat the best this year. And I cannot wait to see it in the playoffs. Landon, thank you for your insights. Jake, you're doing all right?
Not too bad, not too bad.
But you're doing even better in the Primetime Pick Em, which is what is coming up right here on Last Call.
Tune into Good Morning Greyhounds on UND TV on YouTube at 9 a.m. on Saturdays.
Start your morning right with entertainment, interviews, and games all on Good Morning Greyhounds on Saturdays at 9 a.m. And you can even spot a greeter.
Primetime Pick Em, baby. Let's do it. Caden, Jake. Jake's whooping me right now. But we played some double or nothing games last time out. We'll see how I did. To be honest with you, we won't know until the records show up. But a few games in front of us, including the national championship game, Michigan versus UConn at Lucas Oil Stadium here in just a bit, right in the same city as well. Jake, you were leaning Michigan earlier. Are you sticking there?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my gut. I'm gonna go Michigan. I think the offense overpowers UConn. You got to lose your first national championship at some point.
Yeah, I think you're right. That doesn't mean I'm going to pick UConn. Wait, it doesn't mean I'm going to pick Michigan. I'm going to pick UConn because I have to. We're playing a game and I'm here to win. So I'm picking UConn. But Michigan looks like the Titanic of NBA teams right now. But what did the Titanic do? It sunk. UConn might just be that iceberg.
True. Okay. I like that. That's a nice analogy there. We're also doubling the points. We're
playing a handicap on the pick 'em because I can't
one.
pick them for nothing. That's what it is. I can't pick them for nothing. So have to play the handicap. We'll do the 2 times. And we'll roll into Knicks as they play the Hawks in Atlanta. That's tonight as well. And you know what? I'll go first this time since I made you go first every single time for the last 2 weeks on the Primetime Pick 'em. But I'll give you the Knicks, I guess. I guess we'll take New York on the road playing Atlanta.
All right. I mean, honestly, I was probably going to pick the Hawks anyway. It just seems like a good game for
That's why you're a winner, Jake. That's why you're going to take this one home. That's why you're going to knock me off and just right off to the sunset. Rockets.
Sometimes you just know the snake's there, you know?
Sometimes you don't, and that's when it really gets you. That's when the snake really comes up to get you. The Suns are going to be at home playing against the Rockets. What do you think about that one?
I'm going to go Rockets. The Suns, they suck. Let's just keep it real. They are no good, and I like Kevin Durant. Actually, I'm going to watch this game just to watch Kevin Durant score 45 points on the Suns.
You know what? They're playing at home, though. Jake. The Suns. They might just win. Let's go with the Suns, because why not? Why not? I need it.
I like this next game, though.
We like it, too. OKC, traveling to Denver, playing the Nuggets, 2 Titans in the West. And see, with 2 teams like this, is it a coin flip? Closer than you might think. I like the Nuggets at home.
I'm glad that you picked first, but I was going to pick the Nuggets. I'll go with OKC just for the spirit of the game. But
spirit of the game, I like it.
On top of that, I'm thinking that OKC's probably not going to play anybody, and their scrubs are better than most other teams. So it's kind of the way I look at that. And I say scrubs more meaning just the guys that don't get in. They're still all-star level players. You and I talked about Brian Scalabrine the other day. As an NBA player, not that good, but he's closer to LeBron than either of us, as you said. So I think OKC might be resting their guys. I say all that to say this, and I think OKC's backups, they got it done for about 2 months throughout the season. I think they can pull out a win here.
And then the final game on this week's Pick'em slate, LA, the Clippers, going to Portland to play the Trailblazers. I'll let you cap this one off.
I'll go Blazers. I like the Blazers, not only the home team, but ever since that one time at the beginning of the semester where I'd picked against them, they burned me. I learned my lesson. Never pick the Timberwolves, never go against the Trailblazers.
Well, I can't adhere to that syllabus. I have to pick the Clippers here to give myself even a sliver of a chance. So with those picks being made, let's take a look at the Primetime Pick 'em records.
Man, I don't think.
I think I had a good week.
I think you did too, but I don't think there's no way that's right. I'm 20 games over. That's insane.
What can he do? Really, I'm playing an all-American talent here. All-league talent. What?
Losses will not be counted this week. Pity for Caden, but it's all right. I completely understand. If I was in those shoes, I would be feeling the same.
I don't like having a handicap. I just want to make that known. I don't like that, but it has to stay competitive, and I'm not doing very well on my own. We're just trying to stay afloat. This is last call. We've talked a national championship game. We'll see who wins that one. Let's go Huskies. Braylon Mullen, the hometown hero, and Jake, Michigan's probably going to win this one.
I hope
Landon,
so.
you did great as well. Tune back into last call next week.